Hello guys, welcome to the video. So we did a lot of work for this tower, and before we do anything else, I want to give you a glimpse on how tower is going to look once we're done with it. This is my prototype. This is how it's going to look once we're done with the development of a crossbow. We can see we have a small moving part. You can also see that lasers are glowing when it's charging. And also you can see that the crossbow snaps to the target once it's ready to shoot. And also it makes an effect of sort of a recoil when crossbow shoots. So I think I like it pretty much, and that's what we're going to do. And before we do all of that, we're gonna just set up detection of a crossbow. We want it to be able to detect enemies in front of it. Let me catch the moment when it shoots the enemy, because I want to show you something there. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you can see that laser that we shoot from a crossbow is being shot from the center part of the gun, from here, not from the tower's head. It goes exactly from the weapon itself. To do that, we need to create a gun point. Let's go back to our project, and over here, under the head, we're gonna make empty object, and I'm gonna name it as gun point. Okay, now let's focus on this gun point. And let's bring it up a little bit so it is inside of a crossbow. And then maybe we can move it back over here, just like that. Yeah, so now if we make a laser, it's going to be shot from this point into direction of a blue arrow. And that's the idea, that's what we want to do. Now let's go to the script and let's utilize this gun point. Let's make it work, and also let me explain how we're going to detect enemies. We're going to open the script. Over here, I want to make a header, crossbow details, and this is some extra that we don't need. So let's make serialize field, private transform, gun point. Now, to explain how it's going to work, I'm going to use update, but once we're done with it, we're going to move it to the attack method, okay? And I'm going to explain why later on. Let's make an update method, override update. Then inside of this method, we're going to use Raycast detection. We did use something similar before. Over here on the tower, we did use overlap sphere. So this one does a physics check, and this one detects all of the objects inside of a sphere that we define by giving center point and radius. For shooting mechanic, we're gonna use a raycast, basically an invisible laser that we shoot from a point into some direction, and thanks to that we can see if we detected something. It's gonna be like this. Let's say enemy is here and tower is here, and we choose in center point, then we choose in direction. For example, this is the direction, and we're going to shoot invisible laser like that. And if we detect something, we're going to have hit info. And we can use this hit info to see what did we detect and decide what we want to do with it. So as a center point, we're going to have gun point. We also need a direction. And it is very possible that we're going to need direction multiple times in the future. One of the ways to make your life easier as a developer is to make functions for things that you probably will have to make in the future. I want to make a protected vector 3 direction to enemy, and we're going to give it a transform as a starting point from where we get in the direction. And then we're gonna open this. I don't like the name from. Maybe, well, let's name it as start point. Okay. So over here, we're gonna return current enemy.position minus start point.position, and it's better to normalize it just so it is unaffected in the future. We need only direction itself. And I just want to remind you that when you normalize the vector, let's say this is the vector of y and x, and let's say y is 5 and x is 12. So whatever the numbers are here, when you get a normalized value, it is just a value within 1, and essentially it gives you the direction only. and maybe let's rename it direction to enemy from start point, like that. So now we can use this method whenever we need a direction. We can go back to the tower crossbow. Over here, I want to make direction to enemy equals to direction to enemy from gun point, like that. Then we're gonna make if. Then inside of this if statement, we're gonna shoot a laser, and then if we detect something, we can use it to do whatever we want. Okay, so first we need to make the detection inside of the if statement. This is how we do it. We type physics raycast, which again is invisible ray from a starting point, and starting point is going to be gun point dot position. Then we need to give it a direction, and we already have direction to enemy. Then we want to make some local variable that we can use to have information about the object that we hit. So we're gonna type out, and this will give us sort of a feedback from a raycast. Raycast hit info. Then we need a distance, and because for this game distance is not really important, I'm gonna use mathf.infinity, and that's it for now. Now inside of this if statement, let's just debug a line if we detect something. We can do that by typing debug draw line from gun point that position, and as an endpoint we're going to use hit info dot point. And again, hit info is information about what object did we hit with this raycast from this point into this direction onto this distance. Okay, let's save it. Let's go back to Unity. Now back in Unity, we just need to take this gun point that we did create before and put it into this field over here. Now, if I'm not wrong, when we go to play mode, we're supposed to do invisible check from a gun point into direction to enemy. And if we detect any enemy, we're going to make a visible debug line that will show us how detection works. Let's go. And there it is. We can see line is shooting from a gun point over there into direction of an enemy. It is not ideally perfect, like it is not going straight away from a gun to enemy, but that is only because the transform of the enemy is below it. The pivot point is below the enemy, not in the center. And to fix it, we're gonna do something, but we're gonna do that later. Now it's not really important, so yeah, let's leave it as it is for now. Okay? So now that we know it works, instead of doing it in the update, let's do it in the attack method, because we don't really have a reason to do raycast check in the update all the time. In that way, it would be performed like 240 times per second. But instead, we can do it only once when attack method is called, which is every 1 second or something like that. Depends on your cooldown. So I'm gonna override attack method, override attack. Then I'm gonna remove base, and we're just gonna take everything from here, cut it out, paste it in here, and remove this one over here. And just to be sure it is working, I'm gonna do debug log, hit info collider GameObject.name plus, and message was attacked. And I found a way to give this tower a bit of a feedback when it does the attack. It's gonna look like a recoil for the tower. But what we're going to do for real is just type tower head forward equals to direction to enemy. So we're gonna snap rotation of the tower into direction of the enemy. It's going to be immediately, and it's going to be done only when we attacking, and because of that, it's going to look like a recoil, which really adds feeling to the tower. Let's go back and let's see it. Gonna go to play mode. Okay, so there is a tower, shoots at the enemy. You can see tower is snapping a little bit when it's shooting, and I think it's a really nice effect that I want to keep. If you don't like it, just remove it from there. just remove that one line of code. Other than that, it works. We can see sort of a laser is shooting from a crossbow, but that is just a debug line. It will not be visible in the game, as you can see. Maybe, you know what? Let's take the main camera. Let's hold Ctrl, Shift, and press F. Now camera will be aligned with the scene view, and you can see how it's going to look in the game over here. We're going to fix these shadows later on, don't worry about that. So tower is aiming at the enemy, and with a couple of visual effects that I showed you before, it's going to be perfect. All right, and we're going to have actual visuals instead of gizmo line we have over here. All right, that's enough of talking. I think that's good for now. We did a lot. Let's save everything and let's go to the next video.